The title of this book is Truth or Tradition. It is written by our beloved brother, Dick York. We are now in chapter 3 of this book. The title of chapter 3, The Danger of Borrowed Tradition. The title of chapter 3, The Danger of Borrowed Tradition. Chapter 3, subpart 2. Chapter 3, subpart 2. In Genesis chapter 6, we read that the sons of God saw the daughter of men, that they were fair, and they married all whom they chose. This was not inconsequential. The principle of separation that has been in existence from the beginning of time was violated, and these sons of God, in court, who were in their day what the visible church is in ours, now began to look about them at the beauty of the world, and they made union with it. The salt lose its savor. The book of Genesis does not tell us how long it took for the influence of the righteous to be so totally diluted that the sin tide will rise over their head. But we do know the consequence of that compromise. The wrath of God extinguished the human race except for those that found grace in the eyes of the Lord and were saved through the ark. This is a clear picture of the salvation of Jesus Christ at the time of judgment. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 37, Jesus said, "But as the day of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." It is true. It is happening again. The sons of God, those who have called upon the name of the Lord and profess to be his people, have looked about them and been captivated by the attraction of the tradition of the world. They have made an unholy marriage with those traditions that are represented by the daughter of men in Genesis chapter 6. Is this inconsequential? No. The scriptures say that if the soul lose its savor, it is then good for nothing but to be cast out and trampled under the feet of men. Is that not what is happening in our society today? The church has looked about and seen the pleasure of his world tradition and has embraced them. She has rationalized those traditions to make them seem compatible with the word of God. As a consequence, she has sown within herself the seed of syncretism that will eventually allow the influence of ungodliness to overwhelm her. Then, as in the day of Noah, the judgment of God will be poured out upon the earth. In my ministry, I travel frequently to many cities in the United States and, from time to time, abroad. In my journey, I learn something about the condition prevailing within the Christian community in all the places I go. I am always amazed that no matter how many boundaries one may cross, or how many oceans, when one arrives at the other side, he will hear the same lamentation he hears at home. How are Christian leaders spending their time? Most of them confess, regrettably, that it is consumed counseling Christians who have been trapped in the consequence of their sin. Much of the church in the Western world has sunk to a level of decadence that necessitates pastors spending hours in counseling room trying to unravel the consequence of adultery, divorce, broken home, slothfulness, and unscriptural relation. There is amazingly little to distinguish between problems that fester in the church and those that rock the world society. That seemed true of the church in the New Zealand or Australia, the church in England, Europe, or United States. In every place, there seemed to be a great falling away, plagued by the consequence of worldliness. Plagued by the consequence of worldliness. Some time ago, I received an invitation to join a group of church leaders to pray for a spiritual breakthrough in their city. As we came together, the prayer of these godly men began to ascend to the throne. I was not surprised to hear the same prayer for the same condition that church leaders are praying for all over the world. They were not the prayer that Jesus told us to pray. Prayer that intercede for labor, for the harvest, or pleading with God to give us eating for our inheritance and the uttermost part of the earth for our possession. They were not prayer to break through in the enriched nation to liberate the benefacted people who have never heard the gospel. They were prayer of anguish to deliver the local saint from consequence of their unscriptural lifestyle. To minister to Christian brethren and their wives as they make their way through divorce and marriage. To deliver the saint from consequence of their disobedience to the word of God. Some of these same men told me their days are made up of counseling the heartbroken of the angry violator of God's principle. Why has this come about? Why is there a flood of immorality, not only without but within, by those who claim to be members of the church? Why has this marriage between the church and the world taken place these days? The Apostle Paul warned us that this will happen. He said there will come a day when those who profess to be God's people will not enjoy sound doctrine, but they will heap to themselves teachers because they have itching ear. They will seek after men who will tell them what they want to hear rather than call them to repent of their sin and ungodly tradition that are the crutch in the walk through which sensuality and compromise have poured. His prediction is coming to pass in the age in which we live. When the children of Israel came into the promised land, it represented the end of 40 years of trial and testing, wherein one whole generation had passed away and a new one had risen to enter into the land. Even though they were God's elect and potentially the nation through whom God would fulfill his promises, Israel as a nation had spent over 400 years in the land of Egypt. They had gone there as a tiny hunt of 70 people fleeing from a disastrous famine in the land of Canaan. They had seen the heart of God endure preservation from the famine. They had seen the land of God endure preservation from the famine. But as the year went by, the patriarch of the nation died, and a new generation rose up that forgot God. The tax master of Egypt finally dominated them. They became slaves, subjected to all the tradition of that country. They ate the food of the Egyptian, did the work of the Egyptian, were influenced by the religion of the Egyptian, and they suffered tyranny and abuse at the hands of their Egyptian tax master. Even God, they were the elect of God, they were subservient to the wall of Egypt. God, through the miracle of plague, finally overcame the Egyptian and delivered the Israelites from their slavery.